Penguin Random House Audio presents The Rainbow by Yasunari Kawabata. Read for you by Amy Okumura Jones.
The Winter Rainbow. 1. Asako saw a rainbow appear over the far shore of Lake Biwa. The train had passed Hikone and was approaching Maibara. With it being the year-end holiday, the carriage was almost empty. When had the rainbow appeared? It seemed as though, all of a sudden, it had floated to the surface of the lake that she had been watching through the window. The man sitting in front of her had seen the rainbow too. "Chico, Chico, a rainbow. A rainbow, look. A rainbow has come out," he said, holding a baby up to the glass. The two of them, Asako and the man, had been sitting across from one another in the 4-seat compartment since the train had left Kyoto. Although, as the man was travelling with the child, there were really 3 of them. Asako was sitting by the window. The man had taken the seat by the aisle, but after the train passed through the tunnel at Higashiyama, he laid the baby down on the seat next to him, resting her head on his lap. "A little high," he murmured, and began to fold up his overcoat. Her curiosity piqued. Asako watched as the man folded it into a small pillow and moved the baby down so that her head rested on his knees. The baby, wrapped in a soft blanket decorated with a floral design, looked up at her father as she waved her arms. Asako had guessed that the man was travelling alone with the child when she first glimpsed him on the platform. When he sat in the seat across from her, she had wondered whether she should offer to help in some way. Holding the baby up to the window again, the man glanced toward her. "It's quite unusual to see a rainbow in winter, you know." "Really?" Taken by surprise at being addressed all of a sudden, Asako found herself at a loss for words. "No, that isn't right," the man contradicted himself. "It isn't all that unusual. We're already close to Maibara, and the Hokuriku line from Maibara. Well, when I was going from Kanazawa to Maibara on the way to Kyoto, there were lots of rainbows, unlike today. You can see lots of rainbows on the Hokuriku line, you know, lots of pretty little rainbows. It must have been 3 or 4 years ago, but I can't remember the exact month. Anyway, when the train came out of a tunnel, you could see the sea, and there were rainbows rising over the hills all the way to the shore. There was some light snowfall in Kanazawa, so it must have been winter." Had the man been travelling with the baby then too? So Asako wondered, before realising that the child wouldn't have been born 3 or 4 years ago. Laughing at herself, she said, "Whenever I see a rainbow, it makes me think of spring or summer." "Yes, those colours aren't very winter-like, are they? Are you going to Kanazawa today?" Asako nodded. "We're going home to Tokyo." The baby pressed against the window with both hands. "Does she know it's a rainbow?" Asako asked. She had been pondering the question for some time. The man paused in thought. "I suppose not. No, she probably doesn't. But she can see it, can't she? She must be able to. But babies don't really look at distant things or have much interest in them. They don't need to. She probably isn't old enough to have a sense of distance or of time either, for that matter." "How old is she?" 9 months, the man said proudly, before turning the baby around to face him. "I mustn't show you any more rainbows, Chico. I've been scolded by the young lady." "Oh, I didn't mean... I just thought how happy she must be to be on a train with her father at such a young age and to be shown a rainbow. She won't remember it. But if you remember, it will be a wonderful thing to tell her about when she's older." "It will, won't it? When she gets older, she'll no doubt have to travel along the tall corridor herself from time to time." The baby looked toward Asako, smiling. Then again, no matter how many times she might come back this way, who can say whether she'll ever see another rainbow rising over Lake Biwa? Miss, earlier you said she must be happy. I think for us adults, seeing such a large rainbow at the end of the year is a sign of happiness and of a good new year to come. Asako was of the same opinion. Since first catching sight of the rainbow on the far shore of the lake, she had felt as though it were calling out to her. She was filled with a strange yearning to go to that country beyond the rainbow while still alive, or, more realistically, to visit its shores. She often journeyed along this route, but not once had she thought about the far shore of the lake. Indeed, of all the travelers who took the Tokaido main line, only a small number ever went there. As the rainbow arced to the right, it seemed to Asako as though the train was heading toward the other side. The banks of the lake are covered with rapeseed and milk vetch fields, the man said. In spring, when the flowers come out, seeing a rainbow rising over those fields must be happiness itself, wouldn't you say? It does sound quite wonderful, Asako agreed. But seeing a rainbow in winter is a little strange, don't you think? It's like seeing a tropical flower blooming in the snow, or laying eyes on the lover of a deposed king. Maybe it's because the rainbow is cut off without forming a complete arc. Just as the man had said, the rainbow was incomplete, disappearing into the heavy clouds. Stagnant clouds that foretold snow hung low over the surface of the lake. Though they seemed to extend across the entirety of the surface, there must have been a gap somewhere out of sight, as the far shore remained lit by a brilliant band of light. In front of the rainbow, soft beams of sunlight were glistening over the water. The rainbow rose only as high as that band of light. It looked as if it were climbing almost directly up into the sky. Perhaps because only its base could be seen, the rainbow seemed all the wider. To trace an arc, it would have to be truly gigantic, ending very far away indeed. But of course, only the base of the one side was visible. On closer inspection, though, Asako realized that the rainbow didn't have a base at all. Rather, it looked as though it were floating in mid-air. It half seemed as though it were rising out of the water, and half as though it were rising from the ground of the far shore. As she followed its arc upward, it wasn't clear whether it disappeared into the clouds or before reaching them. The rainbow appeared all the more vivid for its being cut so short. It seemed to call out to the clouds with a sense of sorrow as it ascended into the heavens. The more she looked at it, the more strongly she was taken by the feeling. The clouds were of the thick, leaden kind, reaching down to the far shore like dark splotches of ink, hanging motionless over the horizon. The rainbow disappeared from sight before the train reached Maibara. The man brought a trunk down from the overhead luggage rack. It seemed to be filled only with things for the baby. There was a neat pile of diapers and a peach-coloured change of clothes tucked into one corner. It looked like he was about to change the baby's diaper. "Shall I?" Asako began, leaning forward, but stopped. She had meant to ask whether she should help, but the words sounded strange to her and died in her mouth. "Don't worry, miss," the man said, without meeting her gaze. "I'm used to doing it." He laid a sheet of newspaper over the seat, upon which he set a fresh diaper. "My!" Asako looked on in admiration. "See? I know what I'm doing," the man said with a laugh. "How about you?" "Not really, but I was taught how to do it at school." "At school? Well, I guess there's that." "I can do it. I've watched others, and I'm a woman after all." "I suppose so. I've been doing this so long I'm starting to get sick of it." Asako saw the name Otani written on a tag attached to the man's trunk. The luggage was divided into 3 compartments.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?